Hi everybody, and welcome to the next episode of our International SEO video series. Today we're joined by Nina, and she's going to be talking to us about the German and Austrian markets. So Nina, let me hand over to you, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Sarah. Let me start off by saying I think this is an awesome idea that you had, and it's awesome that you organized this series about SEO in various markets. I mean, it's amazing that nobody has ever thought of it before, but you had the idea, so kudos to you for that.
Thank
And
you.
also awesome that you invited me to speak about what I think is quite an important market, which is Germany specifically, but also we are going to include Austria as discussed. So I think I'm going to get started, right?
Yep, go for it.
Yep. So, yeah, the slide says it all, international SEO for Germany. And just a couple of words about me for those of you who don't know me. So this is me smiling at a book that I wrote. Apparently I find it quite interesting or amusing. Anyway, it's a quite popular book about transcreation. So my favorite book, you could say, here in my office. I am a translation and copywriting provider for German. I have a master's degree in translation and interpretation and 30 years of experience in translation and also in marketing. I worked in market research for many years. And so 30 years of experience, that doesn't make me old, it just makes me experienced, I'd say. So experience in market research, strategic planning, brand positioning, corporate communication, advertising, everything that also goes into what you should have as a background, I think, also in an international SEO, international communication generally, and SEO is definitely part of that. So I am also the author of several books, book contributions, and I've written lots of articles on transcreation. And if transcreation is something that you haven't heard of before, or is somehow, or if you're somehow not entirely clear what it is, don't worry. We're going to talk about it in a little while during this presentation. I'm also a frequent speaker at various industry events, and most importantly, I think I am an active practitioner of what I teach and a trainer and a coach in the area of transcreation, so specifically translation for marketing purposes. And my value proposition, my tagline is that I help companies connect with customers in Germany and Austria. So probably ideal to also contribute to this video series.
Exactly. I mean, the aim here is to, connect with customers in Germany, Austria, through German SEO. So I think your tips, and especially talking about content and everything, is going to be really, really useful.
Okay. Great, thanks you. Yeah, smack in the middle, I think. But one important point that I want to make is that, German isn't just Germany. And of course, many know that, but it often gets sort of overlooked that there is German in Germany, obviously, but there is also a large German group in Austria and as we see here in Belgium and Liechtenstein and Luxembourg and Switzerland. And of course, Germany is the biggest one by far. I mean, Germany has more than 80 million native German speakers. But I think Austria shouldn't be overlooked. It has only 8 million, but it can also often be included when targeting a German-speaking markets, because there are many commonalities. But in terms of SEO, you may have to sort of micro-localize a bit, make distinctions. So there's definitely potential here, not just language-wise in terms of regional dialects, but also in terms of, local competitors and local humor and historical aspects. So you want in-country, in-market trans creators and SEO experts for each of these. Just to give you an idea, so Germany has more than 80 million speakers, Austria has 8 million, Switzerland has 4.6 million German speakers, native speakers. So that's also quite a sizable. And the other ones is like Luxembourg has 390,000 and Belgium just 75,000, Liechtenstein 35,000. So really very small markets, but may still be valid for, certain products. Just to give you an idea of just a few words, some expressions to give you an idea that, a Fahrrad, which is a bicycle, in Germany it's a Fahrrad, and in Austria it's a Fahrrad, and in Switzerland it's a Velo, and then you have different types of spelling. Sometimes the words or the expressions or the spellings are the same in Germany and Austria. Sometimes they are the same in Germany and Switzerland. Sometimes they're the same in Austria and Switzerland, and sometimes they're totally different for all three of them. So here's just a few examples, if you like, the ticket, the bus ticket is a Fahrschein or a ticket in Germany, and the same in Austria, but it's a billet in Switzerland, or the envelope is a couvert in Austria, but spelt different. It's a couvert in Switzerland, but spelt differently. And we the double S in Switzerland, that we use the sharp S, as we say, and lots of little things that you may want to take into account. Sometimes it's a completely different word phrase. Sometimes it's the same. I mean, we do understand each other, no problem at all. So it's more like giving people a feeling that you are targeting them very specifically, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And also in terms of SEO, we understand, but we wouldn't necessarily use or enter these words as part of our search phrase. So the search behavior will be different, even though we certainly understand each other. So just a couple of examples to illustrate how you should really be aware and immersed and understand that there are variants. So having, in-country people understanding the consumer mind, because I think this is specifically relevant for business to consumer, not so much for business to business. So yeah, having in-market experts that I think will really pay off if you're willing to sort of niche down and not forget about the millions of people you could either reach or maybe alienate. So yeah,
exactly. Like, I learned German in Germany. I live near to Vienna, but if somebody came up to me and said "Smorga" in Switzerland, I would have no idea what they were on about at all. Yeah. So like, just one small word can make such a big difference. So if you, for example, maybe B2C, B2C, it's not so relevant, but if you're a restaurant doing SEO, or you want to sell some solutions for like healthy breakfast or something, that's going to make a big difference.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because then people are like, oh, these people understand me. They're not faking it. They really know how I think. And small details could make a big difference, like always, right?
I think that's the thing with marketing, though. You always want to appear local, and you want to kind of speak to your audience as if you were just down the road. And if, for example, you went into one country with a word that you used in a different country, you'd automatically stand out.
Right. So true. But yeah, this is a bit of an aside that, German isn't just Germany, but still the main focus of our talk today is going to be on Germany, obviously. And I pulled together a couple of statistics on Germany. So Germany is really the world's 4th largest economy by GDP. and also has the fourth highest household disposable income per capita. So that's quite an interesting market, and has a total population of 84 million, plus, if we include Austria, 8 million in Austria. And the remaining statistics are also very similar for Austria, so I'm not going to mention it any further, but most live in cities, or more than 2/3 live in urban areas. The median age is 46, and there's basically complete literacy, and 93% use the internet regularly, and 87% of those access the internet via smartphone at least some of the time, which is also something to keep in mind. And the average daily internet time, according to the stats that I pulled, is 5 hours 22 minutes, give or take. And the search engine market share is, the big chunk is Google, obviously. Maybe the Ecosia, and you would know more about that, Sarah. The Ecosia search engine has become sort of popular because it's, for those who don't know it, it's a search engine that uses the ad revenue it generates from searches to plant trees. So it has this ecological touch to it, and it's only 1%, and I think this is also a bit up and down, but growing slightly.
I can imagine that growing a lot more, actually, because I think you're going to touch on it later, but Germans are really kind of eco-friendly and conscious about the environment. So I think that kind of messaging, I think that'll grow. I'll be interested where that goes.
Yes, me too. So it's certainly an interesting alternative, and should be taken into account that this can be a trend in Germany. Some financial statistics also. Basically everyone has a bank account. Credit cards, about half of the population uses credit cards. Debit cards, well, almost everyone has one, because these are the cards that are automatically issued by the banks when you have an account. 67%, according to my statistics, have made purchases on the internet in the past year. These were 2022 data, so quite recent, and 61% used online banking. So I included the payment methods that are popular in Germany and Austria here, just because payment methods can vary quite a lot between countries, I think. And what Germans like, and they pulled this from one of the retailers, they're quite popular, a German retailer, a fashion retailer, Peek & Cloppenburg. And because it illustrates quite well what kind of payment methods we prefer. So pay by invoice is still very popular. PayPal is also popular. Then obviously we have the credit cards, and then there's also Klarna. I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with Klarna. It's a buy now, pay later service, primarily for online purchases. And so as a consumer, I have up to 30 days to pay for goods after they have been shipped with no interest or fee. So sort of credit also. I use Klarna, and it works really well. And it's become quite popular for, large online fashion retailers. So that is also maybe a payment method to keep in mind when targeting the German market.
Definitely. And I think the invoice thing as well is very, very different to a lot of international markets. And I don't know, speaking from experience, when I've been in Germany, and I know it's not online, but in-person shops, like, for example, some shops don't take card at all still. cash is still kind of very popular, especially if you're going somewhere in a village.
Yes.
And foreign cards also kind of cause a bit of a problem, that sometimes shops won't accept a foreign card as a payment method. So if you're going to Germany, make sure that you have cash on you.
Yes.
Not really relevant to SEO, but
No, but that detail, yes, but it's true. I mean, invoice payment, it's you do have to have some sort of credit rating, so as a consumer to be able to use that. But it's also convenient because you get an invoice with the shipment, and you have like 14 days to pay the invoice. So I mean, that's a trust thing. But
cool.
yeah,
That's really
it's
trustworthy.
So yeah, I thought I'd mention that these are the payment methods that we prefer to use. And then there's also maybe a couple of data on privacy and security, because we have lots of baby boomers, and the baby boomers are actually discovering e-commerce, but many of us are still, I mean, I'm not sure if I'm a baby boomer, but approximately, I think. But many are still, wary of privacy issues and don't like to give out their data. The younger generations generally don't have that much, those who have actually grown up with it, but they don't worry that much. But the baby boomers are usually the most potent in terms of, money spent. They worry a lot about privacy, and I think even these data are a bit understated, especially as far as the older generation is, or the 50+ generation is concerned. So according to the stats, 40% worry how companies might use their data, 49% decline cookies, 39% use ad blockers at least some of the time, and 37% worry about real versus fake. So we don't like, when we get lots of options that we have to click on, and we always feel like, what is this person going, or what is this company going to do with my data? So we really don't like that. So I recommend to not push it. Careful with what kind of data you collect, and be very open and transparent about it.
I had similar experiences actually when I used to work for a company in Berlin, that, for example, people were a lot more worried about, say, using Zoom than, say, people were back in Ireland or in the Czech Republic. And there was just more concern over these kind of privacy and security things in Germany than, say, other countries. So it is really, really important that you keep this in mind.
I think probably Germany is one of the countries in the world, with people worrying most about data privacy, actually. And so this also, feeds into what do we like, what don't we like. So Germans, and I'm obviously generalizing here, but as a general trend, we can say that Germans generally hate cookies, and we will only allow basic ones. So don't count too much on collecting data via cookies, because we will generally disallow them. We also hate all these pop-ups and the aggressive push ads and aggressive messaging. And I can tell from personal experience that we will leave a page, a website, when there is lots of stuff popping up, and I will leave, and I will unsubscribe from newsletters if you push too hard, because I hate it. And if there's too many pushy, calls to action and so forth, and we will unsubscribe, and we will leave your page, even if you tell us that we might die if we do. I mean, we just don't want that. And of course, there's always the GDPR too, the data protection regulations to be aware of. So yeah, we hate complicated cookie rejection options. So make it easy for us to to reject cookies so that we stay on page. And I also, like I said, we hate being pushed. So instead of saying book a call now, make it easy and a bit more non-committal, and simply book a no obligation call here. So rather here than now, and sort of no obligation. It can go a long way to actually getting that call if you don't push us too much.
That's such a simple change, but it really does make the world a difference when dealing with Germans.
I think so. Yeah, definitely. I feel a lot more comfortable if I know I'm not getting, pushed into doing things, because we tend to we know what we want, and we don't want others to tell us what we need or like. So here's a lot. We like a lot of things, so don't worry. But we do, or most Germans prefer to shop in German. So we are. I think that it has already percolated a little bit that we are generally skeptical and we don't trust easily. So we prefer localized retailers and online shopping in German. I mean, the priority can be somewhere else, but we do like to have a localized website. And it's not because we don't understand other languages, but because a perfectly localized website inspires trust, and trust is really so important for us. And so preferably you also have a German speaking customer support, and maybe even a .de domain. And we do pay attention, not just us, the language aficionados, but also everyone really. Is this really German, or is this just a machine translation? So, do you really care about us, or is this, do you just run it through a machine? So we often get to see lots of really clumsily localized text. And I mean, I get it. I mean, the German language is complex. And so transcription is really important. I mean, maybe just a brief example. We have this cosmetics beauty chain called Douglas in Germany and in Austria. And some time ago, they thought it would be fancy to have an English slogan. And their English slogan in Germany was "Come in and find out." And then there was a survey being done if German people would generally understand English slogans, and it turned out that people took it to mean, come in and find out your way out, which was obviously not what they wanted to say. So that's it. People say they understand, but they don't understand. So be careful.
Oh, I've noticed that the other way around as well with, for example, German and English marketing styles are very, very different. So when people, for example, translate their German websites into English, if you keep that German style, it comes across as very, very odd, because there's so much information that we feel, why are you telling me this? It's really, really obvious, but Germans need that extra context in there.
Right.
So
right.
You need to adapt it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We do buy cross-border, we do buy internationally, of course, if we feel comfortable with that site. I mean, I've bought mostly from within the European Union, I have to say, because it's sort of easier. But I've bought from Poland, for instance, because they had a really nice site, and they had German customer support. They spoke German fluently, and that was just so trustworthy. So it is absolutely doable, and if we feel comfortable, we do buy cross-border, not just within the European Union, but also United States, China, also UK. Although UK has become a bit more complicated lately, because now we have to add taxes and it has to go through customs. So we sort of have to make it, if you sell from the UK into Germany, you have to make it really easy for us to buy from you and also to return merchandise to you. But I'm going to talk about that also. So we buy mostly fashion and electronics internationally. And if you have a German return address, that is really a big plus, because it makes it so much easier for us to send it to a German address. And we are, I think, famous, or for being very return happy. So we have this 14-day legal right of return of any merchandise that we order, no questions asked. So it is really important that you have very accurate, very clear product descriptions and good pictures and good reviews, because they are really key to reducing the amount of returns and saving cost, obviously. So yeah, make sure you have very good accurate and clear product description translations and good pictures. And yeah, I'm not sure if that is if other countries are so happy, I mean, have so much merchandise return as we have, but it's definitely.
Yeah, it's something that I've never thought about. I know, like, for example, in the Czech Republic, we'll return stuff, but only if, well, in my personal case, if they pay for postage to send things back. So, like, for example, if you want to order off Amazon, you have to order off the German Amazon to get it to the Czech Republic. But the good thing is that they give you a label for free postage back to Germany. I mean, it would be even better if you could send it somewhere in Czech. But the fact that you can just, print off the thing, get it sent to Germany for free, it helps a lot. But I don't, like, I've never really been a big fan or really heard people of kind of ordering clothes, trying them on and being like, no, I don't like this, or send it back, sort of thing, because it's just more of a hassle.
But it's this is the thing in Germany, so I'm not sure if I want this or that, or so I just order all of them and send back whatever I don't like. So if you want to reduce returns, having very clear descriptions, so I have a really good idea of what it is really key.
Interesting.
Yeah, and you could also appeal to consumers by saying, we want to we work environmentally conscious, and we want to reduce all this transportation to the extent that it's possible. So think twice before ordering. I mean, be careful with the words there, but it's also a way, because that is really a big trend, the responsible consumer trend. You want words like, keywords would be ecological and green and organic and fair trade and recycle and repair and secondhand and vegan, all of these. I mean, this is a big trend in Germany. And I think for eco-friendly businesses, Germany would be the ideal market. The country has the highest recycling rates of any major country in the world, for instance. And we are, according to statistics, Germans are twice as likely as the average European to buy organic food, for instance. So ethically minded consumers, Germany has them in spades. But yeah, so that is really a trend you may want to tap into. But of course, design and price are still important. So the winners will be those that combine fair, sustainable production with design and price, obviously. So just a tip. And I mean, eco-friendly and sustainable brands, I mean, that's even official because the German government issued the German Sustainable Development Strategy 2021, where it stated that the market share of products certified by publicly managed eco-labeling schemes needs to be increased to at least 34% by 2030. So that is really a thing. And according to Market Institute, market research by the GfK, which is a German market research institute, German citizens consider sustainability a key factor in both daily and major purchasing decisions. And climate change is also a serious concern for more than two-thirds of Germans. So two-thirds at least expect companies to act environmentally responsible. So that's something to include in your messaging for the German market.
Definitely. That's something I've heard as well and experienced in Germany as well. Like, yeah, it's basically a must now, but you have to make sure that you're actually meaning what you say rather than just putting it on there, kind of tick boxing.
Absolutely, Sarah. So true. So sustainable, eco, organic, etc. That's one thing, but trust is the other thing, and they go together. Because trust, I'd say, is the overarching principle for anyone wanting to sell into Germany. So do make sure this that you show readers that you understand them, that you understand how their mind works, how we think, by using our language, our understanding our pain points, solving our pain points, our user journey, our payment preferences, as I showed before. Make it easy for us to interact with you in German, preferably. Show commitment to being a business, bringing positive change. And like I said, Sarah, be consistent in your messaging, come across as not just put it on the tin, but actually act the way you talk, come across as honest and authentic and transparent. So the sort of points to keep in mind. And worry-free. Trust. Worry-free is also about instills trust. So make it easy for us to interact with you. And we have already mentioned that, offer free delivery and return shipping. That is almost a must, I'd say. I mean, I'd think twice or more if I have to pay for a return for returning merchandise. I mean, this company is offering even 62 days time for return. That's which is a lot.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that's unusual actually. I mean, usually we have like 2 weeks is by law, but most offer like 3 or maybe 4 weeks. But this is 2 months, which is quite a lot. But they trust. Apparently, it works for them. So that's you always, when you go into a new market, you always need to do your competitor research, and so this is what the competition is doing, is in that space. So what they also offer is, the merchandise can be picked up and returned in the local store. Obviously, that's not always possible if you don't have local stores, but maybe you have, local partners that you can cooperate with, and offer a free of charge hotline, or at least a low cost hotline. So if I have to call the UK for customer support and I pay 20 euros for it, then I'll think twice about placing that call, or even order something in the first place. So these are also some tips, not necessarily SEO, but things to keep in mind in terms of our marketing.
Yeah, but SEO as well, you have to think about user experience, and it's all well and good getting
Absolutely.
people to your website. But if people leave as soon as they get onto your website because you're not offering these things that German wants, then there's
Right.
no real point to it.
Yeah, I mean, it all goes together. So worry-free, I mentioned, the example of UK, that it has become a lot more complicated doing business with or ordering something from the UK. And so this is Urban Outfitters Germany, and they have a very nice pop-up right when you land on their website, and it says, no worries. For our German customers, all taxes, customs duties, and returns are still free, which is fantastic, obviously. I mean, that is really worry-free for us, and that instills trust. And they put it right up on the first, I mean, when you land there, so I know I don't have to go to a help section to find out what are the costs. So it takes me that worry, that concern right away. It solves it, and that's a very, very good idea. The only thing I would want to mention here is, okay, when I access that site from Austria, I'm automatically directed to the German site, which is fine. I mean, we are used to that. But then we are excluded, sort of. It says, for our German customers, all taxes, etc., it's all still free. But what about Austrian customers? I mean, do they mean German in terms of people speaking German, or do they mean people in Germany? So will we in Austria maybe have to pay shipping costs for returns or taxes or customs duties? So if you redirect us to a German site, please make sure to also include information that includes us. So instead of saying for our German customers, I would recommend that you say for our customers in Germany and Austria. I mean, it's just a little detail, but it makes a huge difference for me, because otherwise I'd say, okay, well, I'm going to have to access the help and see, or maybe even call and find out, I mean, is this included or not? Or what often happens that you see it only upon checkout. You have to put all the merchandise into your basket, and then go through the entire checkout, only to realize at the end that they are adding some duties or customs or whatever, some taxes, and that's not a very nice experience. So take that worry from us right away, and it's not a big thing in terms of implementation, but it's a really tiny thing, but it makes a world of difference for us.
It makes everybody feel included, which is really, really important.
Right. So these were, tips from me, and I'm going to pass the mic to you, Sarah, for some more technical SEO stuff.
Yeah, so as you could probably tell from some of the stuff that I was saying through this presentation, I have a little bit of experience, or maybe a little bit more, doing SEO campaigns for Germany and the DACH region. So I thought I'd share some tips specifically for international SEO for Germany, and start off with the top search engines in Germany. Like Nina's already mentioned, that basically Google has almost 90% of a market share. So for SEO, that makes things an awful lot easier, because you don't have to worry about optimizing for different search engines, because all you really need to do is Google, which comes with your standard optimization processes that you have in English or your other markets, for example. And I thought as well, I'd take a look at some of the top digital channels used in Germany as well. So you can see, for example, most Germans use WhatsApp. Then afterwards, you have YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Facebook Messenger, Pinterest, Twitter, Skype, TikTok, all of the standard channels that you'd expect everywhere else as well. This has changed a little bit. So like when I was little and I used to keep in touch with people in Germany, there were quite a few different channels up there, because like young German people used to use ICQ a lot instead of MSN Messenger. And you can see on here as well that 12% use Xing. So Xing is the German kind of equivalent of LinkedIn. and definitely recommended if you want to have a business presence in Germany to make sure that you have a Zing account or a Zing profile. A few years back, I would say that Zing was almost more popular than LinkedIn, but you can see here that LinkedIn is actually taking over. So I'm curious what that's going to be like, but definitely worth as well looking into Zing, especially if you're B2B. So as well, like we've already touched on German culture and what German people like and what they hate a little bit. But as well for cultural insights for SEO. So SEO, luckily, is a thriving industry in Germany. Germans really appreciate SEO. They like the value of SEO because, again, it's something that you have to put work into and it's seen as trustworthy. So it's a lot easier, for example, to persuade German management, for example, to invest in SEO than you would say in, for example, Ireland. But this also means that Germans also prefer SEO over PPC for trust reasons, because Germans see PPC as something you can just put your money into and pay to be at the top. Whereas if you have SEO, you have to actually invest lots of time into being at the top of the search results. So again, trust is a major factor. So go for SEO over PPC if you can, because it will get you better results in the long run. Yeah, we've already touched on kind of the different words between Austria, Germany, Switzerland. So I kind of do have to touch on this a little bit in German, but as well, not just language perspective. German keywords tend to be a lot more long tail because Germans are more specific and prefer a lot more context in their kind of communication, as you can see in the kind of landing pages and the information that you have to provide. Because some of the information that German consumers want to read does tend to be a bit more obvious for English speakers. And sometimes you wonder, why are they telling me that? That's obvious. But this is all things, again, builds trust, gives Germans more information. So don't be afraid if you see that German speakers prefer more detailed search queries than English speakers. And also they kind of go for more in-depth questions rather than just like top of the funnel kind of stuff with, how do you do this? How do you do that? You know, things are more technical, more in detail. So they've obviously kind of done the research themselves and they've skipped that little bit and then go down there. And also as well with keyword research in German, we actually had a funny conversation about this because I live close to Vienna. I'm quite used to hearing people call tomatoes Paradeiser in German, not Tomaten, which you'd get in Germany. Whereas Nina, you were telling me that in the west of Germany, that's seen as really, really old-fashioned. And there was me thinking it was like a Austrian thing to call your tomatoes Paradeiser.
Yeah, there's quite a difference between Eastern Austria, well, for certain words and phrases, and Western Austria, because also, I mean, you have in Eastern Austria, you have more the closer to maybe Hungary, and it's a different landscape, a bit a different mentality than people say in the West, where who live in those close mountains and often isolated for centuries. So the languages have developed a bit differently, and you see the differences within Germany too. Like in every country, you have the local variants. I mean, Germany is quite big, so northern Germany is quite different from southern Germany in many things in terms of mentality, and even southwest versus southeast is different. So Bavaria, for instance, is almost, we tend to say it's almost Austria.
Exactly. So it's really important when you're doing your keyword research that you keep this in mind, because, for example, if you are targeting, say, Bavaria only, people might look and use certain different words than they would do in, say, Berlin or Hanover. And it's the same with Austria, Germany, Switzerland as well, that some of the words that you're doing, especially B2C, may vary between the two countries. And if you want to give it a local feel, don't just, keep to your German keywords, adapt. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying here as well. Do separate keyword research for each German-speaking market. You might not have to change any of your copy. Right. It might be the same, especially B2B, but double check it just so that you sound local. as Nina's already said, make sure you're including Austria into your German strategy so that you can kind of target two at once, and so that Austrians feel included. And remember as well that Swiss German has its own peculiarities, because like if people spoke to me in Swiss German, I wouldn't really understand it. Like I had a meeting with a Swiss German once. I thought I spoke German. I didn't when it came to understand Swiss German. So it has very different peculiarities. The vocabulary is a little bit different. So again, you need to keep that in mind and not just assume that Swiss German and Austrian are the same, or German and Austrian are the same.
Yeah, they will also have likely, other pain points and different mentality, and because they also, I mean, Switzerland has been sort of a bit secluded, also, the mountains and everything. So they have their own history and their own mentalities, a lot of understatement. So yes, definitely recommend to have people in market, check. I mean, maybe it works fine. Maybe what we have, strategized for Germany works fine, but definitely have it checked to make sure it resonates locally if you want to target Switzerland too.
Exactly. You have to feel local, go across with this local feeling.
Right. So
we'll do the next slide. And then when it comes to SEO, something that's come up quite a lot during this series is hreflang tags. So again, this is something that I've seen loads of companies make mistakes with. For example, they normally tend to go for the DE for German-speaking markets. But say if you want to target specifically Austria or specifically Switzerland or specifically Germany, you need to make sure that the hreflang tags actually, are correct, so that you're serving the correct website version to the correct country.
Right.
So make sure that you're using, for example, DE in Germany, or if you're looking to target, for example, the DACH region as a whole. But if you're specifically doing Austria or have an Austrian version of your website, make sure that you're using DE/AT. And again, the same with Switzerland as well, DE/CH. And you can see some examples of some hreflang tags there.
Yeah, I mean, you've already touched upon this. And so I just wanted to take it a bit further, the trickiness of translating into German for SEO purposes. For whatever meta descriptions and titles and slugs and whatever, and branding critical content in general. So just some language specific things are, when I have to create titles and meta descriptions and whatnot, I invariably have a problem of character limitations, because German has complex grammar and often long words. And so I often have to, not just because we think differently, but simply because of character limitations, I often have to reinvent the entire description, not because it doesn't fit mentality-wise, but because it doesn't fit the character limitation. So I want all the important information in a very limited space, and I think the space was basically invented for English, and we other languages sort of have to come up with solutions that fits into those limitations.
This is so true as well for like PPC, for example. PPC, you have the character limits of like 30 characters, and like 30 characters could be one German word. And how are you meant to, how are you meant to have a enticing call to action with one German word? You can't. It's really, really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, we have like, just one example is instant payment, which is two words in English and not too long, but in Germany would have to be Echtzeitüberweisung, which is already very long. And because our banks use both the German word and the English word Echtzeitüberweisung and instant payment, so we sort of also have to find a way to include the English term, because that is also used. And that is really, I mean, you have to work really hard to find a solution and know when should we use the English, when is the German better, how can we make it short and snazzy. And So really need expert understanding for that. There's lots of things that you wouldn't think of if you don't do it yourself. And also, English is such a convenient language, I think, because you don't have to think about, and gender inclusivity the way we have to because of our grammar, and it's the same for many other languages, that you have to, rewrite text for the simple reason that it's not gender inclusive, and doing a straightforward translation would, be not gender inclusive at all. So we often have to find very creative solution, and all of that takes time. Obviously, it's doable, but you have to be really clever about finding solutions that still sound natural without alienating anyone. I think that's true for Czech and many other languages
I
too.
think so. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, Italian, Spanish, all of those too. I mean, and also, sometimes we have to switch a singular into a plural simply for, because that might be more gender inclusive. So if we make those changes, then that is because of, all of these aspects that we have. So many aspects we have to take into account that, someone not doing translations wouldn't even know or wouldn't even think of, obviously. That's why we exist, right? So that's our service. And we also have to distinguish between formal and informal language. In German, we distinguish between, in English, we have you. In German and in French and in other languages, we have to distinguish between how formal are we going to, do we want to be, how informal, because we have do and si, like in French, we have vous et tu. And that is also a decision we need to make. Then we have the special characters, which we have to, pay attention to. We don't want to use them maybe in too much, or we shouldn't use them in URLs. We have to write UE and AE and OE instead. And generally taking all of that into account and still be, engaging and inspiring and relevant for the target group. So I say the keywords are, we have to be brief, we have to be inclusive, and we have to be relevant. And that is really, really a balancing act that takes a lot of creativity.
I think that's really, really important to kind of mention, because in some countries, for example, they're not going to get offended if you, for example, aren't quite as gender inclusive, for example, like in the Czech Republic. People won't get mad if, for example, your gender inclusivity isn't top notch. But in Germany, it's something that people really care about. So again, yes. Germans are really inclusive, they're really open. So it's really important that you do get it right, even though it's tough. And something else as well that I noticed during doing German SEO campaigns is the URLs. Lots of, for example, non-German speaking countries see the U with the umlaut, the little dots on the top, and decide, I'm just going to put it as a U without the little dots on the top. But like to German speakers, that's a no-no. You have to have the U and the E, or the A and the E, or the O and the E. Otherwise, you're going to look weird. It's going to, you know, not resonate.
Doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
So that is why I say that target market or international SEO translation, there's so much more going on than, a straightforward translation, that you will invariably need transcreation, which is my big thing. So we thought that, we just include a bit of information about what is transcreation, what is that, why would you want that? And so just, briefly explain what is transcreation. Basically, transcreation is a service that combines two services that are normally rendered by two different entities. So it combines what translators have been trained to do and what translators do, the translation part. But at the same time, we also think and work like copywriters. So we also have a transcriber has both a translation training and copywriting or copy creation training. So, you know, combining these two skills is a challenge, but it's really worthwhile if you want to inform, but at the same time also persuade and motivate people to, you know, action. So, you know, combining the focus of translation, which is transferring a source text, with the focus of copywriting, which is to engage, motivate, and persuade. And that is really, you know, an interesting skill and something you might want to think about in SEO translation, because trans creators sort of have been trained to hook target market readers. We are usually in market service providers. We live in the market that is your target market. So we hook them by making readers feel that the texts were written, and we have touched upon this various times during this presentation, that we make sure that texts sound as if they were written specifically for the target market readers, not just taken from someplace else, from another culture, and then, you know, sort of thrown at them and hoping that something is going to stick, because in the long run that's not going to work. So transcreation, if done well, transcreation is really, or transcreate is really your ally in SEO, in international SEO, because it ensures better brand engagement. I mean, ultimately growth and, you know, retention. So transcreation is clear. Yeah, I'll put it all together. I mean, you tend to get a bit excited about it, obviously, but I think it is important also. I mean, transcreation, if it is done well, it's clear, it's natural, it's authentic, it inspires trust. It ensures, you know, readers, prospects, and clients click with your brand messages, and it makes them want to explore whatever it is you're offering and get in touch to learn more. So you wouldn't think, but there are so many details, and we just mentioned some of the details, but all of these details is something that a trans creator takes into account, and it will drive, you know, lead generation, it will drive conversion, sales, and most importantly, you know, result in higher trust. And as we've seen, I mean, Germany is all about trust. Results in higher trust and loyalty. It also post-purchase, not just pre-purchase, but also post-purchase. So people will come back and people will, you know, refer you, and all of that, I think, is really worthwhile. And a transcreation won't break your bank. I mean, it's a lot more work, but it will pay off. I can assure you.
Exactly. And just think how much money you actually put into creating your English or your local language content, because you probably get strategists, you get copywriters, you spend lots and lots of money doing it. And you can't expect the same results by just doing a bulk standard translation. No. And especially when it comes to like SEO and keywords, because one misconception that lots of people have is, oh, I'm going to do some keyword research, and then I'm just going to add it into the translation. That doesn't really work, because the translation doesn't resonate. It reads like a translation. Like you gave the practical examples, you know, the call to actions aren't going to be Germanized or made sure that they, you know, are popular amongst German clients. So at least with transcreation, you get the best of both worlds, because you get the translation element, you get the copy element, and the readers actually feel like it's written for the target market and it's adapted to kind of the preferences of each of the target markets.
That makes a world of difference.
Exactly. Because if you're doing SEO, you want people to come to your website and you want them to actually make sales and go through your website, explore what you've got to offer. And if people don't like what they see, if you're not answering their questions, and especially for Germany, if you're not gaining their trust, that's not going to happen.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's all from me. Thanks a lot. Brilliant. Yeah, this was a fun session. I also had fun, you know, putting together the presentation and talking about my favorite markets and my favorite topic.
Oh, you did a brilliant job and really, really enjoyed it, especially the practical examples as well. So I hope that people will be inspired to kind of take a deeper look into the German market and what Germans really, really like. So thank you.